Oliver Whitfield Miosic is in Brussels with the latest on this story. Oliver, it seems whenever the president goes abroad, he has to calm nerves about land expropriation. Do you think he actually managed to do that in Brussels?
Well, the questions began even before he made his address at the European Parliament in Strasbourg. He was addressing some journalists in a press conference when a question came from one of the European journalists whether these land expropriation plans by the South African government are compatible with Nelson Mandela's legacy, and actually calling them a Marxist agenda. Well, a short explanation came before that address at the European Parliament in Strasbourg, and then during the address we've just heard what President Ramaphosa had to say. We know that this issue has caused consternation from some members of European Parliament. There have been questions which have been tabled inside the European Parliament, as well as a fact-finding mission which was sent to South Africa to try and find out some more information about the government's plans. So whether it has quelled the nerves of the politicians that were present today, that remains to be seen, but it is something which has politicians concerned here.
Now, Ramaphosa is, of course, on the charm offensive. He's hoping to strengthen bilateral relations with the EU.
Not only bilateral relations, he also wants to increase multilateralism. Another part of the address, we heard about the need, he was saying, for multilateralism to flourish. He was talking about xenophobia and racism rising currently in places in the world that was causing lots of concern in different parts of the world. All of that cloaked under the mantle of nationalism, he was saying. And he was also saying that unilateralism was also on the rise. He really wants to try and bridge the gap between the European Union and South Africa, especially when it comes to investments into South Africa, trying to get more business through from foreign sources through to South Africa, something which the president has been doing since he's assumed the presidency.
Yeah, he also mentioned that there was no hope for African stability without investment on the continent as a whole. So he's not just focusing on South Africa here.
No, he's not just focusing on South Africa, and the European Union does have a €44 billion pot of money which it can spend in its outward investment programme. So potentially by 2020 that amount of money will be spent not only in South Africa but across the African continent, as well as the strategic partnerships with the 10 other nations which the EU holds. President Ramaphosa really is trying to get as much business, as I was just saying, as possible. He's got not only his trade and industry minister here with him, but the finance minister with him too. The European Union is one of the biggest trading blocs that South Africa deals with, actually the biggest when you look at it as a bloc. 74% of outward investment comes from the European Union. There's 2,000 companies which operate within South Africa, employing almost 300,000 people. So he knows the importance of the European Union, and he wants to make sure that he's keeping them sweet, but also trying to get more investment into South Africa, something which he sees as crucial.
Yeah, and then Ramaphosa is expected to co-chair the South Africa-European Union Summit. What's the goal there?
Well, more of the same, really. He's going to be meeting with Donald Tusk tomorrow, as well as Jean-Claude Juncker. He's had a very, very busy day today as well. Not only was he in Strasbourg, he then came to Brussels. He's met with King Philippe of Belgium, as well as the Prime Minister, Charles Michel. So it's going to be a very busy schedule for President Ramaphosa going forward. He really is looking at trying to maximise his time here to try and get some of those deals, if he can get them inked before he leaves, because he'll have a good news story for the rest of his European trip before it continues on to Geneva on Friday.
All right, thanks so much for that. Appreciate it. Our reporter Oliver Whitfield Miosic.